Okay, welcome to lessons about exponential equations and how you're solving them with logarithms. So today I will show you the theory behind using logarithms for solving exponential equations, a definition that we have to know, and how you use your calculator to solve these equations. So you really need your calculator. If you don't have it, take a pause now and get it. So, what is an exponential equation? Well, I can show you with an example. Exponential equation. One example of it is this. 100,000 is equals to 1,000 times 1.09 to the power of x. This is a typical exponential equation. It could be like, for instance, if you have 1,000 on the bank account and you get 9% interest. So the factor of change is 1.09. And if you wait long enough, and you don't know how long you have to wait, then the money will be 100,000 on the bank account. For how long do you have to wait? So, exponential equation, then the unknown, the x is in the exponent. X in the exponent, hence exponential equation. Could also be so that you have 1,000 persons whose are infected by a virus. And you know that every day they infect 9% more. How many days do you have to wait until we have 100,000 infected people? So, I will show you how you solve these kinds of equations with logarithms. So, we need a definition. Definition. And it looks like this. If you have an exponential equation in this form, y is equals to a to the power of x. So you see we don't have any constant here in front of a. It doesn't matter, you could always start with dividing both sides with 1,000, and then you will have it in this form. Then this is the exact same if and only if you pronounce this. It's equivalent with saying that this x, the exponent, is equals to the logarithm of a y. So a, you see it's in small index symbols like this. And a stands for the base. The small number here, logarithm for a is y. Then a is the base. Y is what you want it to be. And a is the base. And this number, and you will get it on your calculator. We will use the calculator to find this value. So this value is the number that you will have in the exponents with the base a to get y. This number is the number that you will take in exponent to base a to get y. You almost have to say it many times to realize what this way of writing it stands for. So it's a very good definition. We square it like this, and we will use it. This is called, it's written in the equation form because it's an equation. And this way of writing it, it's called logarithm form. And it's very good to learn how to write between these, to change between these forms when you're solving equation. So let's look on how you are using this. So express in logarithm form, starting with 8 is equals to 2 to the power of x. That is the same thing as writing it. But now, if you want to, you can take a break in this video and try to rewrite it in the logarithm form. So you just have to translate y to 8, a to 2, and then see if you can find it out. And then you start again and you will have the answer. So this means that x is equals to, now let's see, it has to be log here. Log. Log is short for logarithm. So the logarithm of, and you can start with 8 with the base 2. So 2 is a smaller number, an index number, and 8 is the same size as log. So the value for x is to take the logarithm of 8 with base 2. Now, you might know this number in your head. You may solve this equation in your head. That's a quite easy equation to solve. Most of them you need your calculator for, but some equations you can do in your head. And you realize that this is x is equals to 3, because 2 to the power of 3 is 8. Therefore, this has to be 3. Let's use our calculator and see if that's true. So, you have the calculator. And then to use this logarithm, so there it was, you press first the green one and then window. So that's the F2 applications. And then you see this, and you see it says log base here. So you take the arrow down, go down to log base. And now log 2. 2 is the base. So you just press 2. You don't see it here, but I press 2. And then you take the arrow to the right, because now I want to stand inside the brackets here. And there I put 8. So log 8 with the base 2 is equals to, enter, 3. Just like we know that it has to be. Okay, let's look on another one. 3 to the power of x is equals to 9. This is in the equation form because it's an equation. Can you write it in logarithm form? You can start to if you want to. You see, I changed them around. X is not on this side, it doesn't matter. X is equals to log, and then the base is 3. And I want it to be 9. Well, it has to be 9 when I take the exponents x, that I don't know the exponent, and the base is 3. Then you write it in this way. Can you calculate what this is in your head? So, if you see this, and you don't see this, then you should think that this is a number, the number that you will put in the exponent with the base 3 for it to become 9. Well, 3 to the power of 2 is equals to 9. Therefore, this is 2. Let's check out with a calculator first. So you start with alpha and window. and you go down to log base, the 5th application here, and you press enter. And then it says like this. So start with pressing 3, one step to the right with the arrow, and then you press 9. So now it says the same thing as it does here, and press enter. And the answer is 2. 2. So I write it. You were just supposed to express it in logarithm form, not calculate it. But of course, we will use our calculator to see that it's likely that we are thinking in the right way now. So 2 is equals to 1.09 to the power of x. If and only if. That's how you pronounce this arrow on to both sides. Equivalent to, you could also say. Now it's a decimal, and you can't do this in your head. These and this one, you can solve it, but you can't do this in your head. You need your calculator. And first, we write it in the logarithm form. Can you do it? X is equals to log for 1.092. Log for 2 with a base 1.09 is equals to, if we would like to see the number for it. And the question for this equation, when do you need this equation? It could be this case. You see, 1.09, it's like this. And if you have an interest in 9% and you want the money to be doubled, no matter what you start with. If you start with 1,000 and you want your money to become 2,000, or if you start with 1 million and you want your money to become 2 million, it takes the same time if you have the same interest. So that's the question you might want to solve. It could also be that you have a virus that's spreading around people, and if every day the amount of infected people increases with 9%, how many days do we have to wait before the number of infected people has doubled? Okay, you use your calculator. So, alpha and a window, and we go down to log base, and we press enter. And here we write 1.09, and we go to the right and write 2. So it just takes 8. Well, x is 8. Well, I can have 3 significant figures, so it's 0, 4, but it continues, it's a rounded off number now. It could be 8 days if you talk about infected people, or 8 years if you talk about interest and money and other things. D. 0.9 to the power of x is equals to 0.5 in logarithm form. Can you rewrite it like this? You see, in the first 3 cases, this constant here, the factor of change, our a, is greater than 1. But it could also be smaller than 1. If it's smaller than 1, then this number will be smaller than this number if x is positive. If it just increases, because now we have a decrease. An example of when we are using this could be, for instance, if you have the price, the value of something, and the value is decreasing with 10% every year or every month, then you have 90% left, and the factor of change is 0.90. How long do you have to wait before you just have 50% left. So x is equals to the logarithm of 0.9 and 0.5. So the logarithm of 0.5 with the base 0.9. That's how you can pronounce this. This is the logarithm form. But we can use our calculator to find out. So, alpha window, log base, enter, 0.9 or just 0.9 to the right and 0.5. Well, it takes 6. Okay, 6. If I want 2 decimals here, but before I have 6.58. Could be days or years or whatever we have for unit for x. I will show you just one last example. You are getting this now, but if we have 1,000 and that's equals to 10 to the power of x, and you want to write it in the logarithm form, you know how to do it now, but it's special when you have the base 10. Because when you have the base 10, you don't have to write 10. It's just enough with writing 1,000. The only base where you don't have to write this base down, it's the base 10. It's a deal all over the world that for the base 10 you just write it in this way. Do you know what this is in your head? Well, let's find out. So, now you can see on your calculator, you can still use this and write 10 with base 10, or you have a shorter version here. It says just log. So if you press log and then 1,000, you will have the answer immediately. So, enter. And the answer is 3. Why? Well, because 10 to the power of 3 is 1,000. And this is telling us what number should you take in the exponent with base 10 to get 1,000. Well, that is 3. I will show you one more way to solve equations exactly like this with logarithm. So I write here, solve the equation. A. 2 to the power of x is equals to 8. You see, it's the same equation here. I started with 2 to the power of x and 8, but that's the same. Now, I write 8 a little bit to the right like this, and then I have 2 to the power of x. Now, the method now is to use logarithm once again, and then you do like this. We take the logarithm, so we write just log for 8 on the right side, and we do the same thing on the left side. You see, if we logarithm both sides, we don't change anything, so we can write down the equal sign. As long as we do same thing on both left and right side, it's still an equal. The equal sign still is true. Now, there are laws for logarithms. That's not in this course, so we just have to learn now that the logarithm for 2 to the power of x is equals to multiply with x instead of taking in the exponent. So this is the same thing. Log for 2 to the power of x is equals to x times log 2. You can prove it with the law, and it's called a logarithm law. I don't do it here. It's not necessary. On the other side, The right side, I didn't do anything, so it's still log 8. Now, you see, if you multiply and you want to have x alone, you will divide with log 2. So x is equals to log 8 divided with log 2. And now we have to use our calculator to find the answer. We can't cancel things out. We can't cancel log out and say it's the same as 8 divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and we know already that this answer is 3. And we can't divide 8 with 2 and say it's log for 4. So you have to use your calculator. So we start with log. You see it here? Log 4, 8. You can end with the brackets, and we can press enter and see what it is. Well, it's a decimal number. And then I divide this with log 2, so I just press now divide. And then it says ans. Answer is this old number with all the digits. Divided with, and then I press log for 2, because I had log for 2 here. And then I press enter. And it's 3, just as we said it would be here. 2 to the power of 3 is 8. Okay, let's see if you can solve 3 to the power of x is equals to 9 using this method. If you want to, you take a pause now in the video. And you see the pattern. How do you do? Well, you start with doing this. So you take the logarithm of the right side and the logarithm of the left side. Now, according to the logarithm laws, you don't see them, but we can instead multiply with x. So x times log for 3 is the same thing as log for 3 to the power of x. And here we have log 9. So they are together with multiplication, so I have to divide with log 3 on both sides, so I get x alone. So x is equals to log 9 divided with log 3. And I can't cancel anything out now. I have to use my calculator here. And I know already that the answer has to be 2, because 3 to the power of 2 is 9. Let's see if that is true. Log for 9. Log 9, end of brackets, divided with log 3, end of brackets, and enter. And the answer is 2. Okay, one last equation. 2 is equals to 1.09 to the power of x. Can you solve it first? Here's the answer. So I will do it very fast now. I just will write x is equals to, because you remember that I have to take the logarithm of both sides. The x will falls down in front, and then I divide. So the answer is log 2 divided with log 1.09. And I will have the answer. And it has to be the same as log for 1.09 to 8.04. Let's see if that is true. So, log for 2, end of brackets, divided with log for 1.09. And then we press enter. And that is 8.04. So you see, some calculators have this application so you can use it. Some calculators only have logarithm like this and no other applications. Then you can solve equation anyway. So you have two methods to use now to solve exponential equations with logarithms. It's a very good tool to use. Thank you.